So today I want to talk about action versus inaction and what is the difference between surrender versus aligned action and what that really looks like. So I see this a lot, and I think what's funny is we kind of get into this habit of surrender means I should just let the universe figure it out. And, I just pray for it and just hope for a miracle. And I think we kind of have this idea of how surrender almost is like this cop out. And I think there is an element to surrender that's beautiful, but then there's also a let's wait on the couch until Oprah calls and not do anything about it. So I'd like to shed some light on this concept because I think a lot in the spiritual community, we get stuck in this idea of just, well, we'll just surrender it all and it'll just naturally unfold and it'll just naturally happen in its own little way without doing anything. We just sit there on the sidelines and say our affirmations and we do our vision boards and then we don't take the action. So there's a difference here because we can either be in this place of action where we hustle or we can be in this state of pure feminine aligned action. And this is something I've learned a lot while I was creating my course is the first half of how I was designing the course was all like I was hustling. I was trying to do it in a very business-oriented masculine way where I was just like constantly trying to make it work. I was constantly trying to push myself. I was constantly trying to strive. And in that process, I really realized that I'm going against the flow. I'm going against the current of how I actually work more successfully. And when we do that, we can get it done, but are we really in alignment? Now, when we take aligned action, we're answering from a place of from our feminine, our divine feminine. We're answering from this place of listening to our intuition. And we're not just listening, we're taking action from that place of intuition. And there's this really big difference here of just surrender, let it happen, just sit on the couch waiting for it and following the divine breadcrumbs. And the more we get into this openness, surrender is very, very good because you want to release the attachments. You want to release the how. But at the same time, you don't just want to sit on the sidelines either. So there's surrender and then there's action versus inaction. And when we're in inaction, it's really more so the state of rest and recharge and allowing that integration process. And this is where a lot of people come to me and say that they get stuck. And I invite you to realize that by saying that you're stuck is what is keeping you stuck, because our words have power, and behind that power we are magnetizing what we attract. So if you're still saying I'm stuck, I'm stuck, I'm stuck, I'm stuck, you're not opening yourself, you're not surrendering to the answer, to the solution. And in the process of saying you're stuck, you're integrating all the lessons, you're integrating all this information. So we get caught in this idea of being stuck in surrendering but not taking action. And I've personally been this person, so this is why I think this is an awesome lesson to learn, is we have to ask ourselves, are we taking action from a place of striving, pushing, hustling, or are we taking action from a place of following the breadcrumbs, from listening within, from listening to those intuitive nudges that feel good? And a lot of it is always comes back to, are you aligning with what feels good, or are you aligning with like the hard path? Are you aligning with the struggle, the hustle, the feelings that it's almost like it's almost too much work? And our bodies are naturally trying to like deflect that because we know it can be easier, and that's all about our intuition and taking action from our intuition. So your sole takeaway here is, are you taking action from a place of striving, hustling, feeling like you're stuck on survival mode? Or are you taking action from a place of that intuitive, flowy, it's easy, it's aligned, everything just falls together. I followed the divine breadcrumbs. That is really how we can start magnetizing our desires, because we're removing the state of the pushback where we're going back and forth for ourselves. And if you notice, when we're in that pushback feeling, we're really feeling a friction. And that friction is just the resistance of aligning with the intuitive flow, the intuitive path. And that's what surrender really means. It's not about using it as like this cop out where it's just like, oh, I'm just going to let the universe do all the work. Because that's not it at all. You are the universe. Like, I think when we take that perspective, we're really like, we're being of disservice to ourselves, because we're not teaching ourselves to do the work. We're not teaching ourselves to tune in. We're not teaching ourselves to be more aware, and we're not teaching ourselves to be more present into that alignment where we can take the action. And I'm totally guilty of this myself. I think we all are at some point. It's really about understanding that when we do that, we're being of disservice to our power. We are the universe. And if we're the universe, then we can easily start getting into that aligned place by listening to our intuition and taking action from that place versus being in a place of, I surrender, I'm just letting the universe take over. I'm just going to just sit on the sidelines here and wait for the miracle. And it doesn't come because we're still in that limbo state. Because if we're in a limbo, then it's almost like we just keep hitting a wall with our desire, because we're only taking action from the pushback. We're striving, we're hustling, we're trying to get it done, we're trying to get it done, we're trying to get it done. And then we keep saying, well, why isn't it happening? I'm stuck, I'm stuck. And it's because we're not going into that flow. And I had a radical lesson about this weekend where I just didn't feel it. I just wanted to just do nothing. And I was just kind of accepting that. And in accepting that, I'm just like, by just stepping back and slowing down, it wasn't more so a surrender so much as I was integrating what I was learning. I was stepping back and looking at what I was learning. And through that, I was able to be seeing the bigger lesson of, I need to slow down. I need to get back in flow. I need to get back into that aligned state. Because all of us can easily get caught in the hustle, striving, pushing mode. Because that's how we resist. That is literally what resistance is we're resisting the thing we want. So in that process, we really have to ask ourselves, are we taking aligned action where we're in that flowy state, or are we taking action from a place of fear and striving? And it's funny because you kind of notice there's this parallel here. We're either taking action from a place of fear, we're taking action from a place of, I need this for survival, love, security, or we're taking action from a place of alignment. This feels good. This is intuitive. This feels really good in my body. And that's really it. Like, it's not about surrender, let go completely, and just wait for the miracle. It's about understanding that you are the miracle. And this is how we elevate, because we're getting away from that aligned place of, or not the aligned place, that place of pushing and striving, and into the intuitive ebb and flow, ebb and flow. And it all is like very cyclic, like we work in cycles and rhythms, and it's just like the seasons, because you have like a winter phase, and you have a spring phase, and a fall phase, and a summer phase, and our bodies work the same way. Because if we're not integrating, we get stuck in this place of feeling like we're not doing enough, or we're not seeing enough, or we're just not getting it. And that's all about being in that, the push and the pull. So when we get into that place of feeling like we're stuck in this cycle, what is really happening is we're integrating and learning all that information so we can find the lesson. And as we find the lesson by slowing down and being still and being silent, and this is why we crave meditation, because we get so caught in the masculine that we forget to tune into the feminine. And as we tune into the feminine, our intuition, we we don't just we integrate to a point where we understand the lesson so we can elevate and go to the solution. So that's really it. And I think the important thing here to remember is that our intuition is always guiding us, and spirit is always guiding us. So we have to ask ourselves, why are we taking action from a place of fear when instead we could be taking aligned action from a place of acting from our intuition? So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Subscribe below, and I'll see you next time.